So with us today is executive producer, director, writer. I don't know. He seems to be several things there. But he, of course, is working on a project that we're going to talk about today. Daniel Borunda. Daniel, welcome to Faith on Film.
Thank you so much, Isaac, for making the time. And just congratulations on the success of your show. You're doing some great things. And on behalf of the filmmakers in the faith-based space, thank you for all that you're doing.
Oh, you are welcome, and totally my pleasure. You know what? We're going to talk about a project that you are currently working on. You're in the very early stages, but we wanted to get it out there so people would know what it is that you're up to here. But before we get started with that, why don't we show a little the clip that you've worked on that kind of tells a little bit of the story of what this movie is all about, all right?
Operation Thunderstorm has everything that a film goer wants. It has espionage, it has sabotage, it has technology. It's historically accurate in a lot of its storyline, and there's a bit of romance there. So I think it has everything. I think it touches every base that a moviegoer will want to see.
It's a fascinating journey and a story that's never been told before. I mean, the fact that this jet that we're talking about, the first propellerless jet, was the first of its kind, and it was the fastest jet in the world.
And I just feel so strongly that these are just great stories, and it's not just Operation Thunderstorm. It has a sequel that's already been written, and it's already in the bookstore. It's called Operation Pastorius, which picks up right where Thunderstorm leaves off. So we see this as a potential franchise or potential series of movies.
We have a final draft. We also have finished a pitch deck, which we're going to use to promote and present to potential investors and partners.
Raising the bar in terms of the quality entertainment that we want to deliver and we think we can deliver is going toward some sort of a brand that's going to be out there, that when they see Dan's name or my name or our names together, that there's a brand expectation that this is going to be a great experience that every family member can enjoy.
Operation Thunderstorm checks all the boxes. I mean, it's a great entertaining film. You don't have the gratuitous violence, you don't have the sex scenes, you don't have the foul language. I mean, it's pure but great, thrilling, clean entertainment. We encourage those who want to partner with us to reach out and start the conversation. Join us as we raise the bar in what we call clean entertainment, and that's really what Will and I are both committed to.
Daniel, one thing that I can say is that Hollywood needs more movies like this, based on what I just saw right now. Now, tell us, how did this project get started?
Well, you know what? It really was, an amazing God thing, Isaac. I mean, I had gone to church with Will Ponner when we were going to church together at Grace Community Church, John MacArthur's church. So, that was like 20 plus years ago. So then Will, unbeknownst to me, he started writing books and was getting quite good at it. So his publisher came to him one day and said, "Hey, Will, this book, Operation Grab Bag," which is the title of the book, which we renamed Operation Thunderstorm for the film adaptation. He said, "You know what? This could make a great film. Have you ever thought about, putting this into a screenplay format?" And then, so he just scratched his head and he goes, "I don't know anybody in Hollywood. I don't know how to do that." And, he's in Minnesota, is kind of like, kind of freaking out. But then he remembered me and he reached out and called me and said, "Dan, how you doing?" We caught up a little bit and he goes, "Look, I got this book. I'm not sure. My publisher says this can make a great film. I'd like to send it to you and you tell me honestly what you think." So, Isaac, I get these requests every now and then, and I have to tell you, from a writer's perspective, I'm going, "Oh my God, this guy's a friend. How am I going to tell him your book stinks? And no way, blah, blah, blah." So I always approach this with some trepidation, but Will's book was amazing. I mean, Isaac, I was taking notes for the treatment as I was writing it, because I was saying, this is a great scene. I see this happening. So, I called him quickly and I said, I'm in. I said, this is a great film. Let's get going. And so, but it was definitely a God thing. I mean, he just, it came, I came to his mind and he called me. So that's how simple it started.
Well, I have to say here that I did read the script. You sent the script to me, and I guess you just wanted to get my opinion on it, and I loved it. First of all, I love those type of historicals because it is a historical type movie, but it was just very exciting. Now, is it based somewhat on a true story?
Yeah, well, you know what? Good question, Isaac. It's based on historical characters. I mean, we're actually using, historical German commanders, who served in the army at that time. And we're also talking about a jet, the Messerschmitt 262. That was an actual jet. So those were actually events that were going on. The Nazis had created this jet. It was the fastest jet in the world. All we did was we spun history a little bit and introduced a character, Frank Sweeney, who is a character in the book, and he's sent on a sabotage mission. So it's a combination of true life history, woven into a fictional story about this man going back behind enemy lines to sabotage the Germans' production of this jet, which, Isaac, I have to tell you this. One of the fascinating facts for me as a writer was all the research that I did. And I have to tell you, one of the most terrifying what ifs was if Hitler had played his cards right with this jet, I mean, we could have been speaking German. I mean, he could have won the war, and you could say God's in charge, and I totally believe that. But that was one of the most scariest aspects and compelling aspects of history for me, was how close he came. So much so that historians have said that Hitler's misuse of this jet was one of the costliest mistakes in the history of war. So, I mean, we're talking about significant history. And that was one of the compelling aspects. And plus, this story has never been told before in Hollywood. So, as you can imagine, from my perspective, is, this is great. This is really gonna be the type of film that's gonna, the whole family's gonna be able to come to, and like you said, has all those compelling ingredients, which I think which we need today in today's Hollywood.
Well, you said something interesting there just a few seconds ago about God, I guess, somewhat being involved in this situation. Would you say that this movie is a faith-based movie?
You know what? I am so glad you asked that question, because first of all, I want to give kudos to, the Kendricks brothers, the Irwin brothers. I mean, Dallas Jenkins, of course, what he's doing with The Chosen. They have done great work. And, I don't want to put a smear or say, hey, the faith-based movement, it's not doing great things. It is. It really is. But I think from Will and I's perspective, we don't want to carry that tag for a particular reason, because, frankly, what we said from the jump is that we don't want to preach to the choir. And I don't know about you, Isaac, but I know a lot of people who are not, Christians, who are, quote unquote, the unchurched. And if you say faith-based, they're going to run for the hills. Right. So, our goal is we want to reach the masses. So we want to make a great film that the whole family can come to, but woven within the context of the story is the faith-based message. So, we're calling it clean entertainment. So what we're trying to do is actually create a whole new brand of, we're saying clean entertainment. And that's going to be what we're going to use as our quote unquote label for the films that we do, not just Operation Thunderstorm, but there's already a sequel, Operation Pastorius, which has already been written. So this is a franchise. This is an ongoing thing. Where this is, when people go to see our name or Will's name, they're going to say, hey, this is going to be a great film. I can bring my whole family. There's not going to be gratuitous, sex. There's not going to be cursing. We're going to be able to bring our whole family and have a great time, and still, get the faith-based message. So we want to be more covert, if that makes sense, and really, do away with that tag, because I don't want to scare anybody off. And we want to reach the masses. That's our goal. That's our mission.
You are right. It does make sense, because actually you said that non-Christians would run for the hills when they hear it's a faith-based movie. To be honest with you, there's a lot of Christians that would run for the hills if it's branded a faith-based movie. And the reason for it, unfortunately, is because for the most part, faith-based movies have not been as gosh, how, I don't want to insult anybody, but have not been to that level many times. And, you know, I almost liken it to church. There's church, and even though, yeah, you're encouraged to invite people to church, but for the most part, they probably are, most of the time, they're probably not going to come. Church is for us believers to go in there, get re-energized, get rejuvenated, whatever you want to call it, just, you know, get closer to God. But the church itself then has outreaches. And those outreaches are usually not a church service. There's something different that will attract the non-churched, and then you insert the love of Christ through what you're doing there, not necessarily with a Bible thumping message, just with loving the people, you know. So I think you're definitely onto something on this thing, and that's very, very exciting. And it looks like it's going to be a very high-end Hollywood type movie, by the way. Again, based on the script that I read.
If I could throw one more thing in, because I don't want to miss this point, because one thing that I don't think Mel Gibson doesn't get enough credit. I really believe that Mel Gibson really was the one with Passion of the Christ who did a brilliant film, financed it himself, engaged the church. He was the one who really helped launch, quote unquote, this faith-based film movement. And I don't think Mel Gibson gets enough credit. I really think it started with him. And, you know, he's one of the individuals that I'd love to work with and hopefully will in the future. But I don't think he gets enough credit, Isaac. He's the one who started it. He's the one who made it possible for the Irwin brothers, for the Kendrick brothers, for, you know, Dallas, what he's doing with Chosen. He made it possible. And for the reason is that Hollywood woke up to the reality of, hey, there's money to be made in the, quote, Christian space. So, hey, let's cater to this market. They're going to spend money. And so I can't say enough about Mel Gibson's contribution to the, quote, film, you know, faith-based movement. I think he doesn't get enough credit, Isaac.
Isn't it just interesting of God that he uses those who probably we wouldn't think would be used?
Right.
It's a good thing he knows something beyond what we know. So tell me, where are you now in this project?
Okay, well, we have a finished draft. You know, Will and I worked tirelessly on making sure that it wasn't just a good script, it was a great script. Yes. You know, I put myself through the ringer of just making it excellent. So we got a great finished draft. We have a pitch deck. We have some promotional videos, which one of them that you just saw. And then also we've actually entered the script into some major screenwriting competitions, the biggest ones in Hollywood. And also, I wish I could name the name of the agency, but it is one of the largest agencies, talent agencies in Hollywood. They are actually looking at Operation Thunderstorm. So, you know, we're right on the edge of launching this. And then, you know, of course, what we're going to do is engage studios and independent producers and gather financing and move forward. But I'm very excited about where we are, Isaac, because this is going to be a great film, and it's going to be talked about. People are going to kind of want to say and tell their friends, you got to go see this film. And that's really what we're after.
Well, how could people kind of stay connected to what's happening? Do you have a website or somewhere where they can go and just figure out where you're progressing here, and they can tell their friends?
Yeah, that's a great thing. I think you might be posting this, but they can reach me on my email address, dan.borunda@gmail.com. It's very simple. You know, I want to be very accessible because that's important. I also have a YouTube channel, which hopefully, you know, Isaac, you could maybe post that link to as well. So on my YouTube channel, it goes over, you know, where we are, what's new, what's happening. And also they can email me, because one of the things that I want to do, and I have to say this, Isaac, and I'm just going to be blunt, because I don't think faith-based filmmakers or Christian filmmakers do a great job of making themselves accessible and being available, because, you know, there's kind of a Hollywood thing where, you know what, well, you know, I want to be open. I want to be accessible. I want to hear from people. And one of the great things is, so far as we've been doing podcasts and doing other promotion, is that I'm hearing from sound composers. I'm hearing from special effects people. I'm hearing from, you know, other people in the film industry who are saying, hey, Dan, you know, I'd love to be a part of what you're doing. So, you know, if you're in the industry, if you have a skill, if you're a composer, if you're a, you know, a reader or what have you, I'd love to hear from you. If you want to get involved, you know, let us know or email me. I'd love to hear from you.
Fantastic. Well, Dan, just blessings on your project, and thank you for coming and sharing that with us today.
All right. Thank you. Thanks so much, Isaac.
Folks, we'll be right back.